Fam, let's talk. I've had a few people wonder why I would call a sitting president, Donald Trump, a racist, particularly because I'm a diversity, equity, and inclusion expert. And we typically try to see all perspectives, consider all viewpoints, and really respect all people. I am that person who will listen to viewpoints that most people won't. I've been doing this for over 25 years, and you'd be shocked at the things I've heard. I'm pretty accepting. And I don't know if I've ever called someone big, famous, a racist. I don't use that term. I don't like labels. Everything I do actually is about trying to get rid of labels for the most part. But Donald Trump is indeed a racist. And I have a responsibility to name a racist when there's an outward racist, because how do we fix things if we won't name it? Um, that he is the president doesn't make me more hesitant to call him a racist, but it honestly makes it a bigger obligation because everyone's watching. How do I teach children what racism is and adults what racism is if I refuse to acknowledge his racist behavior? This is a man that for most of his 74 years has acted and been racist. Many of his policies and decisions are based on his deep-seated hatred, distrust of other races. And this is a fact. This is if you were to sit down and read his history. I put some notes over here so people can remember, but so I can remember. But in 1973, he was cited and fined and by the Fair Housing Authority for refusing to rent to black people. He owned a lot of property in New York. He refused, outright refused, and does not deny this, refused to rent to black people. In his casinos, when he and his daughter would come, or he and Ivanka would come to the casino, he would have the floors cleared of black people. He wanted The Apprentice, the show he was on, he suggested and floated the idea publicly. This is not something that is conjecture, to be black people against white people. He wanted the black people to compete. He called Mexican immigrants criminals and rapists. He banned Muslims from coming into this country. He called the coronavirus the China flu and the Kung flu. He advocated for the Central Park Five, the gentlemen who were found innocent eventually, but he advocated for them to get the death penalty. Took a full page ad out in the newspaper, although he's not an attorney, who had nothing to do with it, but took a full page ad in the newspaper to have those young men, children, killed. He repeatedly, in every case that involves black people or brown people, calls those people thugs. Whereas when in UVA, remember the UVA incident, where a young lady was killed and people were just fighting for equal rights for black people, neo Nazis and white supremacists, he called good people, fine people. There were good people on either side. His campaign slogan, Make America Great Again, is pretty clearly because he wants things to go back to a time where white was supreme and right. White supremacists, including the Grand Wizard, Duke, has applauded him and thanked him for his efforts. They consider him a white supremacist. So when the white supremacist groups say that he speaks for us, I think that lets us know that he's a white supremacist. So he is indeed a white supremacist. He is indeed racist. This is just a little bit of what I'm sharing with you. And he's not going to change. He's 74 years old, or about to be 74 years old. He's not changing. This is a deep-seated hatred that he has. And so anybody who talks with him, it's not going to suddenly make him have a realization that he's against or shouldn't hate all people. And he's certainly not going to give any black person, any person of color, as a matter of fact, people with disabilities, women, gay people, anybody a part of the LGBTQ community, he's made it clear that he is not welcoming or has love for. So he's not creating policies or doing anything, no matter who talks to him, particularly a rapper from Compton, to benefit us. Now he will act as if he wants to do something to benefit us if it benefits him. We're near an election. It's an election year that people are voting right now. But we would all be just really gullible to think that someone who has acted in racist ways, whose father was a part of the KKK, who was raised to be racist, and who has shown his racist ways throughout his entire life, actively working against black people, actively calling out Obama and Harris and questioning if they were even Americans. Why? Just because they were black. So you think the same person all of a sudden wants to sit, have a conversation, and do things that are right for black people? No. So while I believe we should look at both sides, we should talk to all people, I'm not registered with any political party. I believe in listening all the time. That is what I do for my job. I have sat in factories in Alabama and heard some really offensive things, but I'm that person who can hear it. I'm open to hearing everything. That's what I do. And I'm open to hearing you all's opinions always. But I will say that there are times you have to call a thing a thing. There's some people with whom you cannot negotiate. There's some people you have to decide and understand this person is not on our team. Never has been, has not been for 7 decades, and is not going to start now. So we need to come up with plan B. Plan B might be voting against him, which I would think would be smart. Plan B may not be sitting at the table, but building your own. Plan B, I don't know what it is, but I think that we, as loving and forgiving of people as we are, sometimes we have to accept that love is not being served at certain tables. It's just not. And we need to act accordingly. These are just my thoughts. I really do welcome hearing yours. It's Brandy B.